stream. Apparently the lore is that he learned how to speak English from playing World of Warcraft, and he's very, very good, and he's very comprehensible. Oh, I think we're about to get started, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, the first thing you'll probably notice is it's a 50-minute time limit, and it's a Dragon Quest game, which probably is going to confuse you.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, 50 minutes for Dragon Quest seems about 3 hours too short to me, you know?
Yeah.
Well, this run without glitches is probably closer to 6 hours.
Oh.
But it's a very, very broken game. But it takes about 10 minutes before you really get into any of the glitches. You just got to start out with the story to begin with.
Of course. I mean, that's every RPG. We must start out with story.
I do want to point out that a lot of Dragon Quest runs historically have been pretty much always glitchless. It's sort of like the standard a lot of the Japanese community members run for all the major Dragon Quest titles. So it's sort of a rare treat to see the Dragon Quest games get the very glitchy any % category. And Hoishin is one of the Japanese community members who champions this category. And High Spirits, I think he has the best time. Is that right?
Actually, I think Ping Val took it.
Okay.
Just barely, but
yep.
He hasn't actually done any runs of this on stream for a few weeks, and he has actually come up with some partial manipulations to eliminate some of the RNG that's in the run. So it's interesting if he, when he gets the chance to actually go back at it, I think he's going to topple Ping Val.
Cool.
But yeah, he's one of the few Japanese runners who really embraces glitched runs. Like, he wants to break the games. He doesn't like to go the traditional route.
Yeah, he plays
Dragon
a few
Quest
other.
runners.
Yeah, he plays a few other games. Like, he plays the Dragon Quest VIII glitch category too, right?
Yeah, he's done a couple runs of that, and he learned his lesson very fast not to touch that route.
Yeah, that's something else.
So the first thing he's going to do is you're going to see him pick up a handful of items, because he needs to fill out. He needs at least 13 items overall, including the gear that he's wearing, in order to do the first glitch that he's going to get around to doing at about 10, probably to 12 minutes into the run. So that's all he's doing now is item collecting to fill out his inventory for an item duplication.
I do want to point out too that most Dragon Quest games are relatively glitch-free. I say that with sort of quotation marks. Most of them are fairly well made, but there's something about Dragon Quest V, whether it's the Super Nintendo or Super Famicom, it's this version, the PlayStation 2 version, or it's the DS version, that they all have these really weird broken things about it. There's something about DQ5 that was just asking to be broken. And this game's no exception.
That's interesting to me that it's broken like across all the versions,
There's different varying like degrees of broken. Like the DS one isn't that bad, it's pretty much like clock manipulation. And then like the Super Nintendo version has a way to 100% recruit every monster and crit on every possible attack.
Just credit warp on that too, yeah.
Yeah, and credit warp. And this one is just it's one being able to go out of bounds just completely destroys this game and just confuses it like crazy. This is the PlayStation 2 version of Dragon Quest V. Only released in Japan. We never got this one.
As much as I want to go into the lore about this game, we're going to be warping around very soon, so it doesn't really benefit anybody to talk about what's going on. I think just early on, you're on a ship and you're just trying to sail with your father, who you don't really know what his motives are up to yet, but you're going to find out very soon, is a very, very strong party member.
Yeah, the one thing people would say about this game is it's depressing.
It's very sad.
It just beats you down, and then like after you think it can't get any worse, it just gets worse. Like the very first cutscene of the game is your mom dying the day you're born. That's the first cutscene right there. And it's like, oh, okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Thankfully, this run is going to skip most of that pain and suffering, and just skip around all those terrible scenes.
Yep. Luckily, as the run goes on, we'll sort of see the glitches evolve that we'll be able to talk about them as they come apart. There's sort of like these different sections where he does these different... there are 3 main glitches according to his notes, but they sort of display themselves as we go along. I think early on, it's sort of just getting through the story until you get to the point in which you can start breaking stuff.
Yeah, you have to get to the second town because by then you have what's needed for to confuse the game, because you gotta have Bianca in your party in order to really cause some problems with the game. And those slimes are so jiggly.
They are jiggly slimes.
As one of the quotes from an earlier game, or one of the other games, they're melodic jiggling.
I have seen more slimes defeated today, I think, than I ever have in my life. I will say that.
I'm used to watching them run away, but they're the metallic ones that they don't like.
Yes.
The ones you farm for experience.
So we should point out just briefly, too, that this is the PlayStation 2 version, which I think we said, but this was not released in North America. So most people don't know about it, at least in the West, but this was just a standard sort of remake. A lot of the Dragon Quest games have been remade for modern consoles. DQ5 was remade for Nintendo DS as well, but I believe this game came before the NDS. Is that right? Do you know?
I'm actually not sure, but
yeah, I think
bet I can find that out very, very fast for you.
Yeah.
Let's see. PlayStation 2, 2000. Oh yeah, it came out like 4 years before the DS got the remake.
Yeah, because they were going through and remaking. They remade 1, 2, and 3 for Super Famicom, then 4 for PlayStation 1, and then this for PlayStation 2. And then they sort of swapped off to NDS.
Yeah, this version Plexel is it's pretty much the same as the DS, outside of there's not that third wife. There's no Deborah in this version. They just stuck to Flora and Bianca, Flora/Nera and Bianca as the two ladies. Other than that, it's pretty close to the DS version. So the first fights of the game, you'll notice he beat up on a few monsters. He's actually trying to get a couple of early levels. He wants to get to level 3 for safety, because there is a point where he's going to go through a place that you should be a couple levels higher when you go through it, and he just needs to survive the horrible flee rate in this game early on.
Yeah, we've seen some discussion about RNG manipulation. RNG manipulation is typically not a thing we see in most Dragon Quest games, given that in a lot of the games, the randomness varies by the frame. However, this game does have some slight exceptions in which, as High Spirits was talking about earlier, we'll be seeing some RNG manipulation that he can use in conjunction with some of the glitches he's doing, which is kind of cool. It's sort of another rare treat that you get to see with DQ5 as opposed to some of the other titles.
Well, hopefully we won't have to actually see any of those manipulations, because he's going to first try Walk to Fortuna.
Of course.
The big random part in this game is after he gets to the second town and he needs to go out of bounds for the first time and get to another town. And it's basically like 3 sections of a long walk where you can't get into an encounter, or you have to reset the entire walk. Which, we'll explain that in a couple minutes when it gets there, because right now he's going through the first required cave in the game. He has to get past this first story cave, and then the fun begins when he gets to the next town.
Yeah, my understanding is that this place isn't too dangerous, but there's a few encounters in here. If you get ganked by like 4 or 5 enemies, that could get kind of hairy. I believe what you're trying to do is death warp at the end of this, and you want to keep your HP relatively low, but not too low.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. Like the hammer hoods you see right now on the left, they either miss you or crit you for about 10 damage. And then the Drakis can hit you on average for 4 to 5 damage when you have no equipment on. And he did pick up a leather shield, which you normally wouldn't pick up in this route, but he wants that extra protection for when he gets to the haunted manor, when things will really start hitting you hard, and you need to survive that.
Yeah, most Dragon Quest games are very unforgiving in the first like 20 or 30 minutes, and that you're severely underleveled and you're just doing everything you can to squeeze by. And that's true in this game as well. You need to get through the, as High Spirits was just saying, up to the Haunted Manor. So he's doing the minimum amount he can to squeeze by, but he's sort of in trouble. I mean, 1 HP is very, very close.
Yeah, he's going to risk it, I think. Well, he doesn't have to get the clothes, actually, because he's going to probably buy a set of scale armor for protection for a marathon route. So he doesn't have to make it to that chest up there, but yeah. So it's not terrible if he doesn't make it. He just, because he picked up the leather shield, so yeah, he's just dying. He's not even going to bother for it.
Run, yep.
Because since he picked up the leather shield, he'll still have the 13 required items in order to item duplicate when he gets to the next town. Normally, you wouldn't pick up that shield. You would pick up the Wayfarer's clothes, and you'd use that as protection. But there's also other items in this town if he really needed more. There's where he's going now is to get the Seed of Strength, which is what he's going to actually duplicate, because it's worth 30 gold when you sell it. So it's something worth duplicating. It's one of the most expensive items you're going to get early in the game.
So the story reason that he was in that cave was that he needed to basically lift the boulder off of one of the dwarves in there, who helps. Actually, I'm drawing a blank as to why you have to do that, but that's why you have to do that.
His friend Bianca's father is sick, so they're in town to try to get medicine, and he was in the cave trying to get the medicine, and oops, a rock fell on him. And funny little thing: the DS remakes of this game usually are filled with puns, and his name in the DS remake is Mr. Rockefeller, because a rock fell on him. I know some of it's bad. That's a staple of the DS remakes, is just the bad puns.
Yeah, if you go back and look at the Japanese versions, even if you translate them, they don't have all those puns. They're just regular. Everything's regularly named, but
more serious.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's just when they came out in the West, I guess they decided that, in order to sell the game in the West, they had to make it funny. Haha.
Yeah.
So almost every game we've gotten in the West has just been filled with puns. Like 8 might be the only one in the West that we got as like this, in the newer generations that just was not filled with puns. So this is Bianca's hometown, and this is where the glitching is going to start. The first thing he's going to do is item duplicates. In order to pull that off, you have to have at least 13 items in your inventory. In your bag, each page holds 12 slots, and so you need one to go into the second page. And by just choosing an item underneath to the left and underneath of what you want to item duplicate, will duplicate the item if you push to the left and O at the same time. Like basically choosing the item on the frame that you switched the page, and that duplicates the item, and you can, as long as you put it into someone else's bag. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to do that a couple times in this run. To start, he's going to do that with the Seed of Strength in order to duplicate enough money to buy the things that he's going to need. And you'll see that he's doing it right now. I don't know exactly why it works. I just, for the item duplication, but this is what he does. Now his route is actually different than what most others, what the current original route is. He's actually duplicating 10 seeds. A couple more are extra for the armor that he's going to buy, but he also does this for the money route.
It just blows my mind how like simple it is to do. You just have to have a few things in the right order, and you just start duplicating.
Yeah, it literally, like, when I was practicing, it literally took me, like, 2 minutes at the most to duplicate, like, over and over and over and over again. It's shocking how easy it is. It's just like, so it's like someone just accidentally pushed left and, you know, at the same time, and oh, look, I got a second item.
Huh. So he's buying some gear for, I believe, both his characters to get through the next area.
Yeah, the important thing is to keep the hero alive, because if he dies, you basically reset back to, you know, back to town here, and you have to go through everything again. But he's probably going to make safety saves in here and in Fortuna before he actually goes to the Haunted Manor, so he doesn't come all the way back here. But he's what he's just doing is stocking up on Chimera Wings, which allow you to teleport, and some herbs, so he can heal up any damage he takes. And yeah, right now the teleportation in this first part of the game, you can't really teleport in between towns. You're only allowed to teleport to the last town you were in, because they don't give you like a teleport list until later in the game. So he needs to end up going to sleep. I guess story-wise, they have to go to a haunted manor to save a saber cat. So being a 6 and 8-year-old kid, you know, that's obviously what you're going to do. And he needs at nighttime in order to buy an item that he's going to use to completely break the game.
Yeah, we've seen some mild glitches with, the glitch of duplication, but it sort of pales in comparison as to what's coming very soon. So get ready.
Yeah. Item duplication is important for 2 reasons. One is to get the early money route, but 2 is also because he needs to duplicate another item to get to the final area of the game, which, you know, is something we'll get to in a minute, or in a few minutes.
Taking a quick safety save here, probably very smart considering he's about to do a very dangerous walk.
Yeah, this is the biggest RNG in the entire game, is making this walk to Fortuna now. A place that you're not supposed to be to until you're about 10 years older than you are right now.
Yeah. So this game is in 3 generations, and there's areas accessible on the world map. Technically, you're not supposed to be able to get to them when you're a kid, when you're in Generation 1. But let's see what goes on here.
Okay, so you're going to notice really briefly, quickly, that he's gone out of bounds. This is done by opening the system tray.
Oh, take a look at the camera. You can see that he opened the disc tray.
Oh, yeah, you can see it in the camera, yeah. So basically that's what you do to go out of bounds is when you're, the world map loads in squares and tiles. So if you open up the system tray and then go far enough away to the next tile, the game doesn't load it, so you can just walk out of bounds and go wherever you want. And that's what he did, is he opened up the system tray, he walked to out of bounds, and now he's counting his steps until bam, he lands right in Fortuna first
Hell
time.
Yeah, that's really good. It's really good.
I think that was to do with the manipulation that he did, walking a very specific way after leaving the church. But the reason why he's coming here is to get the wagon, something you're not supposed to get in the 2nd generation, because the wagon allows you to store away party members, but also allows you to recruit monsters, which that's the big gimmick in this game, is recruiting monsters to fight for you.
He has to be very happy that he didn't get killed over and over and over. That was really good.
Yeah. The biggest problem is the encounters, because when you get into an encounter, you have to close the tray to load the encounter. Like, you can get into the encounter, but you can't actually load the encounter with the tray open. So since he has to open the tray, he has to go back to start and walk again if he gets into an encounter. So that's why he doesn't want to get into an encounter along the way. So now it's for the last dangerous part of the game, is to make it to the Haunted Manor. Getting there is easy because he has maybe one encounter that he'll get in before he goes out of bounds. But after that, as long as he stays out of bounds all the way to the top manors, he won't get into another encounter. So that's why he's going to do another long walk here. And if he doesn't get into an encounter by the time he passes the church, pretty much it's safe travel all the way to the towers. And then the danger is in there, which is why he bought all of the armor that he did.
Yeah, it's funny. In some ways, I mean, he's just going to the next story area in the game that he was supposed to, but he made a quick detour completely off the world map to get the wagon. And
Ooh, he went into bounce there. That means he has to go back and restart. If he touches that water, it's an 18-second walk to the towers. So within that 18 seconds, he will get into an encounter. So he needs to reset and do it over again, because it's really tricky, because you don't want you. It's deceptive because you it doesn't look like you're going to land and bounce, but you really like take a drop down. So you got to take a couple extra steps after you go past the corner before you take a left, or you'll hit that water. And like I said, once you get into the water, you're technically in the game, so a random encounter can spawn. I've done that plenty of times and ruined a lot of good beginning runs doing that by accident.
I just love how slyly he opens the disc tray. It's just sort of sneak it in there. It's so good.
No one's watching. No one's watching. But yeah, he's counting steps right now, and he knows exactly where he needs to turn in order to land where he needs to go. Basically, for this, it changes based on every console, because it's he's closing the tray, and then it takes several seconds for the actual map to load. So it's really based on your console, how fast it loads when you need to open up the tray, so you land in the spot that you need to. And this encounter here is not a problem, because this is where he's supposed to be at level 3. Although he's not supposed to be in the tower at level 3. He should be like level 5 before he goes through the tower.
Yeah, so he did something quickly in battle, and then he swapped the party order. He put Bianca in front. So High Spirits before was saying that he really needs to protect the hero and make sure he lives. But one thing that's nice about Bianca, who is the other party member, if she dies at the end of the battle, she'll get auto-revived. So if she takes a death, it's not nearly as costly as the hero taking a death, who, if the hero dies, you have to go back to the last, I guess it's either town, or if you take the safety in here. Is that correct?
Well, what it's going to do is it's going to basically mean they failed the mission, so he's going to wake up in the bed in Wheelbrook, and then you have to go back to bed, and then you have to make the walk back up here, which isn't a horrible walk, but it's a big time loss, because you basically got to get yourself get dragged back into town, wake up, then go downstairs, talk to Bianca, wake up, and then walk all the way back to the towers. But this is a haunted manor, so there's all kinds of spooky things that are going to happen.
Surprise. It's a girl.
Surprise, your girlfriend got tossed into a tombstone. This is another really punny area in the DS version. In the American versions, as they call this place, the Up to 10 Towers, and the leader of it is the Count Up to 10.
Brilliant. Just fantastic.
I know. It's So he needs to go through the entire towers, all the story areas, in order to actually get to the end, where the next game-breaking glitch will happen, where he's going to confuse the poor game horribly.
I see people asking about the top of the screen. That's not part of the game. That's actually a problem with the capture devices that they're using for this marathon. Having been on for this many hours, it's starting to glitch out a bit.
Yeah. Thank you, booming voice from above.
Yes, thank you.
Feasel with the save right there.
So the whole, I guess Tana could talk about what the story of this place is.
Yeah, sure. The king's name in Japanese is Eriku, or Eric. It's not count up to 10. Yeah. So, I mean, the story is that you come to this area to, I think the town is having some problems, right? And
they're having some problems, and it's kind of a dare to save Sabercat.
Yeah, that's right. And
a bunch of kids making a dare, like, yeah.
Yep. Because you talked to the kid who was teasing the Sabercat before, and he was like, "Oh, well, if you go to the haunted manor and take care of the problems there, then I'll hand it over to you, the Sabercat." So of course you're like, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah, we're 6, we're 8, we can do that. Easy. We're invincible. I mean, when I was 6 years old, I was jumping into haunted mansions too.
Of course, yeah. But along the way, you encountered a gold orb, and you take it with you, and that, in a normal playthrough, matters a lot, but might not matter so much today. All right, here we go. Big glitch coming up.
Yeah, so he had to come down and get a torch because there was like a dark room filled with ghosts, and this is the dangerous floor right here. This is why he bought the armor, is basically this floor, because there is some horrible enemies. Like, he just got sapped, his defense lowered, and he just took a ton of damage from those ghosts. And there's there's things called mad candles in here, which they just hurt badly, and they can come into groups of 4. So you're basically, this floor, the 2 floors, the one where he's on now and the one downstairs where the torch is basically the entire reason why you got armor, just to survive those 2 floors.
And he has a fair amount of scarcity in his healing, either herbs or using the heal spell in his MP, right?
Oh, he doesn't even have the heal spell yet. He's too low of a level to have the heal spell.
Got it. So he has to be really conservative.
Maybe he bought extra herbs, so he's in pretty good shape.
Cool.
But he doesn't need it anymore. He's done with the healing that's required. So what you did is, you notice how he went outside and he put Bianca in the caravan. This game, you're not supposed to have the caravan while you're in Generation 1. So this game is expecting you, for a cutscene coming up, to have Bianca in your party. And since he's not going to have Bianca in his party, the game is going to get really confused and not going to get very happy about it. And, well, you'll see what's going to happen when he falls down without a specific person in his party. He falls up.
Yep.
So basically what he's done is he's now broken the XY axis. He can now go up and down, or the X axis, I'd say. He can now go up and down whenever he feels like it in any dungeon. That's going to be used to skip triggers and pretty much skip random encounters, except for a forced one or a required, or one that he's going to want to do later on. And yeah, that's all. That's called the stick glitch. It only works at a couple points in the game. Every other point in the game, he will soft lock it. But this is the earliest point where the game will actually let you do it. And it's really useful because he's going to use it right here to skip a required mad candle fight, fall down to the floor below, and get out of the towers.
Yeah, the way that you use this glitch is that you hold R3 and you can use either the left stick or the D-pad to move around depending on where you are, if it's a world map or if it's well, it doesn't work on a world map, but if it's in an area in which you're trying to go up and down on the Z level, or you're just trying to navigate around. But yeah, clearly it breaks some stuff.
Yeah, what you do is you hold down the right R3 button, and then you use the D-pad to go up and down, and then you use the left analog stick to actually move your character in the directions.
Yeah. I mean, it's very weird that that's like a control you can do. I can only imagine it's some sort of debug feature that somehow got swapped on, but it's obviously very convenient for the run.
Oh yeah. I don't know which axis it is. It's one of the 3. It allows him to go up and down and skip triggers. And he's going to use that to break the game even more now. Because the next story is a story dungeon that he's supposed to go to without Bianca in your party. And wow, he got into an encounter. That's actually a very dangerous encounter for where he's at. He should not be here for another 5 levels or so. But thankfully he's got the scale armor, so he can resist some of it.
All right.
But yeah, this is a story dungeon that is required to go to, and he's actually going to use a story trigger in here in order to break the game again. This is a very sad dungeon for those who know about it. So yeah, you'll notice him go up and down randomly. That's him just basically walking through walls now because walls do not matter anymore. This fight here, he's purposely running away until Bianca dies, and then he's going to let his dad kill everything because he doesn't want Bianca to gain like 3 levels off this fight.
That's kind of a weird fight too. Isn't he supposed to do that fight alone, or are you supposed to join him for that fight?
Oh yeah, that's supposed to be your dad alone, Pappas alone. But since the game's not used to having Bianca in the party here, it doesn't really know where to put her, so it just sticks her in the fight. It's only triggered to remove the Saber Cat and the hero. Is the only thing that it's triggered to do. Anyone else that's in your party, because there's other fights like that later on when he confuses the game even more with Harry and his party. That is just like, you know, wait a sec, we don't have a flag to remove you from the party, so you're stuck there.
Yeah. So you have Papa's in your party, who's the main character's father, and he's just an NPC who's very, very strong. He just sort of helps you out in this part of the game. So that's not glitching or anything. That's just part of the game.
Yeah. And he's doing this right now because it's actually going to set up a flag. Yeah, he has to jump on the raft for this to work, because it's going to trigger this cutscene up here with Harry, and then it's going to, it's going to mess things up. Yeah, at the end of this dungeon, something very sad happens, and we don't get to see that though, so that's good news.
This is the happiest run of Dragon Quest V. Can you believe it?
I know, it's the only happy run you'll ever see.
You just skip all the sad stuff.
Okay, so I'm going to try to explain exactly what's going to happen here. He's going to skip a boss fight at the end of this place. What you're supposed to do is after you save Harry, you escape. And when you escape, you come to this guy here, this bishop over here, who is really a bad guy. And he has to go way above this trigger, by the way, because it's a very high trigger. And he jumps right over it, and that puts a flag in the game. What happens is when he rescues Harry, there's a flag added to the game where the next time the hero dies, the next event's going to happen. Whatever the event is, usually it's the fight ends. There's going to be another instance coming up here in a second of a different trigger. But and that flag goes away the moment Bishop Ladja, or whatever, I don't know what he's in Japanese, kills the hero. And then, by the way, here's the other use of that glitch is, bam, debug room.
Boom.
So it's a couple glitches back to back, so I'm going to try to explain them. And then what happens in the debug room, and then, the rest of the game's easy. But so what happens is that flag gets put in the game, and the only way that flag gets removed, that, hey, when the hero dies, the next event happens, is to die to the bishop. Since he never fought the bishop, he never died, the flag never gets removed. So the flag is there for the rest of the game, which he's going to use for a couple of reasons. And so what he does is he leaves the ruins, goes into outside, and then the hero dies in an encounter, which is what he did. He got into a random encounter. The hero died. So what happens? The hero died. The next event happens. The fight ends. But the hero ends the fight with 1 HP. So what he does is he steps on the swamp, and when he steps on the swamp, he takes 1 point of damage and dies again. But since the next event isn't to end the fight, it's to, for some reason, send him to the debug room. Whether it's because it was a programming oversight or he underflows or something, that's not completely understood. But yeah, he basically just, the next event after dying on the world map is the debug room, in which he picked up his son and daughter, which are now older than him, and raised their level and gave themselves 6.3 million experience.
Yeah, I love Hoishin's notes. It says, talk to the muscle guy on the left to get 6.3 million EXP.
Yeah.
That's great.
So he's just doing a long walk now to the next story part. But yeah, he now has his son and his daughter, which are technically 2 years older than him at this point where he is right now.
It's all semantics how old your sons are.
Exactly.
This is great, by the way. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a broken mess. So this town right here is where you're supposed to meet your future wife, and you're supposed to go through some trials, pick up a couple of rings, and then you get to pick who your wife is. And you're going to notice he's going to go to this volcano where he's to pick up a ring of fire. The reason why is in order to get to the final dungeon or the final dark world in this game, you need to pick up 3 rings along the way in order to unlock the path to the underworld, and the ring of water, the ring of life, and the ring of fire. But the game doesn't check which rings you have on you. It only cares that you have 3 rings. So he comes to the volcano here. He's gonna to win this fight and pick up the ring of fire and then duplicate it, and put 3 rings of fire onto the statues, and that's how he's gonna get to the final area of the game. And how he does this fight is pretty entertaining. Because remember that flag that, when the hero dies, the next event happens? Well, you just need to find a fast, efficient way to kill the hero. And seeing as how he's in the high 90s for levels, he has a spell that does that for him. Good old Kerplunk.
Megazaru. So yeah, this spell just basically sacrifices yourself to try to kill all the enemies. It doesn't usually work on bosses, but it always kills you. So if it just kills you, it ends the ends the battle and triggers the next event, which is just beating the battle instead of actually losing.
Yep. So that's how he gets past the magma men here. And then he's gonna duplicate the ring of fire 3 times. So he has 4 of them total. 3 of them are required to get into the underworld. The 4th one is required to get the ship, which he needs to get to where the cave is, where the underworld is. But yeah, he basically suicided, and that ended the fight.
Yeah, it's called Sacrifice, I think, in most English Dragon Quest games.
Yeah, well, there's 2 versions. There's Sacrifice and then Kerplunk. One, the version he used, I believe, is the one that sacrifice yourself to resurrect and heal your party.
Oh, okay, yep.
But then there's the
Farewell.
kamikaze sacrifice one that kills all the enemies, which also is something he could do if he wanted to.
Got it. Yeah, I think the hero spell is Farewell, which is what you were saying. Resurrect everybody else.
Yep, Farewell is another term for it. Yeah, every spell has like 3 different versions based on, what era of the game that came out in, whether it's NES, Super Nintendo, PlayStation. So this is what he's doing now, is he's getting the ship, which he's going to use to obviously go out of bounds and take him to the cave that's going to lead to the final area of the game.
Yeah, usually you sort of get landlocked and you're not able to get past this gate without doing some of the other story stuff. But clearly, if you can just go out of bounds, that's not really a problem.
Yeah, it's one of those maps where, like, at the point in the game when you get this ship, after you get the Ring of Fire, you can only take it to another area that's just big enough to get you to where the cave is, and then you can't really explore, the world map. And then it kind of like, until Generation 3, you really can't like explore the full map.
So yeah, here we are in this cave. This is what Hoishin was talking about, the duplication of the rings. Basically, he's just going to throw the 3 rings onto here and is going to set himself up to get into the dark world fairly easily.
Yeah, that door he just walked by actually will not allow you through. There's a requirement, a story requirement in order to unlock the door. But if you, use the stick glitch to just go like just a little bit past the door, you can skip the trigger that stops you and actually load through. And then when he gets to the world of darkness here, there's supposed to be this cutscene when your mom appears, and oh yeah, by the way, she's not dead. She just got kidnapped. And you can just fly over that trigger and then skip that. And then the final world here, which, this is such a fast speed run. In 40 minutes he got here. Mildred Nimzo forgot to finish building the underworld, so he only did half of it.
Look at that ominous scream.
Every good villain needs a volcano dungeon lair to live in. So he's got to go through a lot of screens to get to the final boss, and he's just gonna take the fast route, of course.
So yeah, just to reiterate, this is the final dungeon of the game, and is usually fairly dangerous for regular RTA attempts, but if you're level 99, it's not too much of a problem. I believe, what do you guys use here? Do you use like the repel spell or holy waters?
What works very good here in the DS version is the Tempest Shields. The Tempest Shields have a spell called Expel or Poof, and it basically removes enemy, has a chance to remove enemies from combat. And every enemy in this in the final dungeon here, except for one, is very weak to it. So the DS speedrun just involves Tempest shielding away just about every enemy, except for great dragons that can appear on the outside areas.
Yeah.
And they hurt if you can't run away. He's very good, by the way, at staying very close to the ground using the stick glitch, because in order to, you want to save time, because you have to stop, hold down, push the D-pad, and then move with the left analog stick. So he's really good at just like tapping the D-pad really lightly, so he's just barely off the ground, and then walking with the analog stick. Me, I always like pop up a couple feet because I'm bad.
He's on a good run. I mean, nothing really bad that has happened.
Oh yeah, world record is in the 38-minute area, like 38:15 or something.
Yeah. We're about to go into the final gauntlet, one would say.
So yeah, here's the final boss. 41 minutes into the game. Now, there's actually 2 phases to the final boss, and the first phase is pretty simple. He's just he still has that flag equipped, so he's just goodbye, kerplunk, farewell, and it's going to end the fight. But he's going to have to do something different in the second fight because the hero's already going to be dead going into the second fight, so he can't just kill him off and end the fight. So he's going to have to do something else. But here's Grandmaster Nimzo / Mildred. Mildred, yeah. Oops, he cast the wrong spell. So there's the kerplunk, and phase 1 is taken care of. Yeah, not every character is level 99 because some levels slower than others. Like if you had Sancho in your party, he'd be like level 92. Just because he takes forever to level at high levels.
6.3 million XP is not good enough for Sancho.
Not enough.
So here's the big bad villain.
Yeah, this is the last fight of the game.
Yeah. As he takes his sweet time plopping out all of his limbs. So the hero's already dead going into this fight. So how is he going to get through this fight with the hero dead? He's going to run away. Because once it gets around to your party's turn, the hero's dead, flag turn happens, and GG.
That's it. That's all you had to do.
That's all you had to do is run away. Yep. And that's Dragon Quest V, PlayStation 2, any %.
Wow.
In 43 minutes.
Fantastic.
That was impressive. GG. Right there. Again, you can find this runner right here on Twitch. Twitch.tv / Hoishin. I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher his name.
Yep, that's right.
Hoishin. Yeah, I butcher everyone's name, so it happens. But yeah, to find him on Twitch.tv / Hoishin. Give that man a follow. That was really cool. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I really like the whole Benjamin Button thing where you had kids older than you right there for a minute.
Yeah,
Totally.
It was like an episode of Lost or something, you know?
You notice Bianca going up and down, by the way, because the ending is actually broken a little bit because of everything that's happened. So you'll notice I didn't say it earlier, but missed it earlier. But he was moving Bianca up and down through the ending cutscenes when they were leaving the underworld. And it wasn't the hero because the hero was dead, so Bianca assumed the main character's role.
Yeah. Please follow Hoishin. Hoishin is an awesome guy. He's a great bridge of the gap between the J community and the Western community. He plays Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy 13, he plays Dragon Quest 5, sometimes Dragon Quest 8. So please definitely follow him.
Yeah, he's very active in Discord and a whole bunch of channels in the community. I mean, he's embraced the English, side of Twitch. So he's definitely someone you can see everywhere.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Assuming it's not like 3 a.m. for him, like when it's 3 p.m. for the rest of us.
At an acceptable time, hit up Hoishin. Is the rule.
Yeah.
That was a good average run. Good, very good marathon run. First try all the way to Fortuna. That's all you could ask for.
That's awesome. Hey, well, thank you again, High Spirits and Clear Tonic, for joining us here today. Where can we find you guys at?
Oh, I'll pull up Plexel and just say the Nightbot just told us where our channels are at, High Spirits and Clear Tonic. So
totally. And if we have a Dragon Quest Discord too. If anybody ever has questions about Dragon Quest RTA, we'd be happy to answer any questions. So, you can just message one of us and we'll give you the link.
Yeah,
we could find any resource for you on anything required by Dragon Quest. I'm pretty sure me and Tonic could find between us.
Yep.
That's awesome. And I mean, for anyone ever out there, if you're thinking about speedrunning, most games have a community out there that is more than willing to help. Like, they are excited to help newcomers. So never feel scared to ask, if you're a new speedrunner out there.
Oh yeah, I think especially in the Dragon Quest community because, we're kind of a small niche here because it's really popular in the East, but, in the West, there's only a handful of us. So we're definitely, really good at helping new people get.
Totally.
They need the bodies right there. They're recruiting the bodies.
We need the fresh meat. Give us the meat.
That's awesome. Well, thanks again, High Spirits and Clear Tonic. Give those guys a follow. Show them some love.